explosive. In some cases, they had black powder for their weapons, but they'd rather use it for hunting and killing Native Americans that were trying to kill them. They didn't want to be slaves. And the Spanish were really good at trying to make everyone a slave. Okay, now come on in.
See these hoses here? I did all the connections on all these hoses here.
So for sure we're gonna
Color right outright is mercury tellurium. Your silver, lead, zinc, copper, gold may have cinnabar in that. And that's mercury ore too. So there's two types of mercury ore in here. You don't have to worry about the mercury because the temperature's so cold, you don't have any contamination. Mercury only works when it's about 70 degrees. So unless we run a heater in here, we're safe. Every time we turn around, we find something different. We ended up, I got some boys from the smuggler mine. They came in and they had the eye from the smuggler because the smuggler has the biggest single gold or silver nugget that was ever found in the world. 1,830 pounds solid silver nugget.
Yummy.
And it wasn't no rock in there, it was solid silver. They busted that up in 3 pieces to get it out of the mine. It was so big.
Wow.
So these guys come here and they're poking around and we found wire silver in here. Because it was the same basic ore that they had in the smuggler mine. And I'll start showing you that stuff when we get back in. So anytime you got a question, feel free to ask and I'm glad to try to answer it.
Thank you.
Guys, we're right to our lower left. There's an earthquake fault. And if you know anything about earthquakes, the faults go up and down, back and forth. When they're doing that, they're breaking the ground up. The advantage of going where X marks the spot, which means you have 2 faults and you have 2 veins, is we have a little fault right here. Now the ground went up and down, back and forth a second time. Now to give you an idea, see where these little cracks that are black? That's silver. And what happens is, those cracks are there, the minerals come in and they actually glue the rock back together. And you know how everything is once something is broken, it's never as strong as it used to be. Well, that's why when they came in there with picks and shovels, it broke up real easy. In fact, probably for the first 30 years I was in here, I didn't use explosives. I didn't do nothing but a pick and a shovel, just like the Spaniards did. Had no problem. Now I want to do it a little faster, get a little bit more done. I use, something that blows up.
Yeah.
So you got a question, young man?
Waving at the baby. What year did this mine open up?
Spaniards started about 1840s, 1850s.
Wow.
And it was kind of shut down until Gregory and them guys discovered this was a gold-bearing area back in the 1850s. When they put the railroad in, the railroad brought the Chinese to build it. Out there, that whole area where the railroad was Chinatown. Where you guys are digging down there was part of Chinatown. And in the old days, I found the remains of Chinese and left them right in place. And then what happened was the Chinese did this little hole right here. And they were willing to follow the one vein, and that's when they had the advent of black powder and starting to work with nitro. So that was the very first explosives in here. Then what happened in 1870s, Central City got burned down. It was burned down by the Chinese laundry up by Gospel Alley. Shortly after that, the Chinese disappeared from this area. And I had some psychics in here. The psychics said down that area in the old Spanish workings, it was very possible they buried 13 or 14 bodies of Chinamen. They didn't kill them in here. They just used this as a way to bury them. And they don't give me a hard time. I don't give them a hard time, so we get along real well. And we're gonna probably do a platform talking about it, but, everyone wonders why people didn't like the Chinese. Well, they burned Central City down, that was a good excuse, but they always had a problem with the Chinese because they would go right where all of you are digging after you've all been digging and taking out the gold you did, and they go back in there and they get more gold than you did. Okay?
Yeah.
Because they knew what they were doing. They knew how to see the gold that you guys were losing. And that's why when I'm working on processing gold, for every ounce of gold most people get that they can fix, we find 90 ounces of gold that you lose. The key is to get good at getting the gold you can't see. And that is a real trick to do. But it's well worth it because number one, you are handling the dirt. You're handling the material. Why not get a bigger bang for the buck? Why not get more gold than
the goal.
the average guy that could care less, you know? And that takes time and doing things. When I ran my operation, I had 200 foot of sluice box. Cleanup really sucked. And that's why I had a shaker table. Okay, come on in, any other questions?
So I'll use that wondering, is 3 feet enough?
What?
Is 3 feet enough? 36 inches for your sluice box.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Some say that's all you need, that's all you need. I'm like, no, you need an extension.
You need a long town.
You need a long town. You're filling it fast and you need a longer town. It's all about how you feed it. If you're working slow, you still get a small extension.
Come on, bunch up, get in here. Come on, squeeze together, you know how to do it. Move in a little bit more. Move in a little more. Make room for everybody. Pretend you're in school and you're making you move over. Okay, this area here is one of the places we're working. If you notice, there's a lot of white areas in here. Okay? This is for some of you guys in the back of me, can't see. All the white areas, that's silver chloride. That's predominantly what the old Spanish miners wanted, the silver chloride. And it's all through this mine. Now, this stuff here is like clay. This used to be white as your hard hats are, okay? And what they did is they take this and they take it out there and they'd have a burro or a horse or a mule or whatever they could, put it in a little raster, put this out there and crush whatever rocks in there. And the crushing was the only part of it. The main part was the animal waste. They used the animal waste to change this from a chloride into a oxide.
What?
Okay? And what we do now is we take this stuff and put it in a 5-gallon bucket, put water in it, and mix it with a paint mixer till it's the consistency of a thin shake. And then we add a little more water and then we put thiourea in it, which is animal waste from the cattle guys. And we mix that up so it's consistency of maybe a malt. And then we dump it out on a drying tray like your tubs that you pan in. Let it all dry up. It's all oxidized. It all turns black, just like this is trying to do by itself. That's why you see a lot of black in the mine around it. So there's silver coins, they turn black. Grandma's silverware turned black.
Yeah, when it was teens.
Okay, now you still shine grandma's silverware?
I know how to do it, yeah.
Well, you know what, in the 1960s, I got tired of shining it, and that was when clear acrylic spray came out. I took on a shine of silver, you never eat with it,
Yeah,
okay, so you shine it up really good,
you make it look
and
nice.
you put a dusting of clear acrylic spray on it, let it dry, and you put it away. And you know what makes the silverware turn black? The air
Yeah.
and the light. You shut the air off your silverware, it doesn't matter how much light is on it, you shut the light off on it and you have the air, still not gonna do it. So you have to have the combination of air and a light making the silver turn black. And so we're making it that oxide and turning it out into the sun, making it turn where we can turn around and melt it. You know, when I got all my grandmas and all my relatives' silverware that I did that to,
Yeah.
this is 60-some years ago I did that. You wanna know what the silverware looks like?
Same.
Brand new?
Same as the day that I sprayed it with acrylic spray. Who would have known that 60-some years later, well, it's actually 7 years, that I would, be knowing that, and that helped me do what I'm doing with the silver. But that's it right there. Any questions?
Oh, you're doing amazing.
Tomorrow, we're drilling a full round out there. This is the drill we use.
Mm-hmm.
We're drilling a full round, and we probably aren't gonna blast that till fall, until I raise $19,000 for the explosives.
Yeah.
And that's not just for this hole. It's we're drilling 3 different rounds. One full round here, we get back in there, we're drilling 1 more round in the slope, and we're drilling 1 more round and making the slope. Okay, so when you get past here, do not touch the walls. Above all, do not touch the stalactites because they will stop growing.
Mm-hmm.
And then no one can ever see what they look like.
My kids, did you hear that?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, why don't you
Yeah,
go
that's
on
good.
ahead
You
and
need, don't touch the walls.
meet up in the next room.
No, don't grab Daddy. Our kids are homeschooled, so this is school.
Oh, I know. Put it down in your school accumulation book.
Yep.
Okay, a bunch up in this room right here. Okay, this room here is, where we started mining back in the 1970s. And we were using steel pipe in there, we got rid of the steel pipe. We used these rails that I'm standing by, they're the 1882 rails. Got tired of putting the ore car on these little pieces of metal, tore it all out. Put that new rail you got in there, we've done that in the last 5 years or so.
Wow,
Because this rail is just unusable.
that's such a little thing.
Yeah, it's only 8 pounds for 3 feet. The rail that you're standing about is 40 pounds for 3 feet.
Wow.
And then the rail that's out at the beginning of the mine is 50 pounds for 3 feet. So, okay, so you remember the faults, the cracks. And I'll show you some more areas back there, but right behind you is the bottom of that vein. And the vein came up on an angle right into this room. And if you look in here, you can see the silver ore, just like that piece of silver that you got out there. And if you look, that's silver chloride again. Silver chloride all through the mine. And where we got through drilling and blasting was right up these stairs. I really don't like taking people up here because these stairs are extremely slick. But you can all come up here. This is our ventilation fan. Next time we blast, we got 2 more fans that we're gonna hook up back there for ventilation. And, when we're power washing, that's one of the big things we're doing now. We got our 1-inch water line in here for drilling, but we also use it for power washing. And then, what we're doing is the power washing, you see these little seams like this? Power wash it, and we find it, we take a Falcon MG20. And I don't know how many of you have seen them. Well, you need to get one if you're running a sluice box or looking at hard rock. And the reason is this. We went around, after it's washed, and we went around on the seam, and the seam would go off. Take a plastic pan and scrape that material off in the plastic pan until there's no more beeping. And we put it in the pan and we isolated it. We found a layer of silver. That's what the guys from the Smuggler Mine taught me. Well, one place we found a piece of pure white quartz and nice pure yellow gold in that little piece of quartz. So it's like, it'll pick up a piece of quartz gold so small that you cannot see it with the naked eye.
Really?
There ain't another metal detector that I know that will do that. So what we used to do when we ran our sluice box, we take all the rocks that we screen out of our sluice box, look at them, and there's no gold in there, we put them in a bucket. Okay? And what we do when them buckets get really full, we run our sluice box with just the rocks that come out of our cleanup. And we're concentrating the rocks. And then I used to take those rocks after we'd run it through a sluice box 2 or 3 times, we'd put them in a little ball mill, a little rod mill. And what it would do is it would crush and pulverize all those quartz rocks that came out of our sluice box. And a 5-gallon bucket of that, if it's properly collected in the little rod mill, you take everything out of the rod mill and you put it in a 300 mesh screen. And what's in the 300 mesh screen is gold that looks like Goldschlager. And we were getting roughly $90 worth of gold out of those little bit of quartz rocks that you're throwing away after you clean your sluice box.
Those are the ones
Now-
I collect up.
Now, you can go down to the Arkansas, you're not gonna find this. You can go down there at A-Bar, you're not gonna find this. You're finding this because we're right here below where all the ore deposits were, and those small pieces of quartz have not been broken up enough from that creek going down there, running them great big rocks down the creek, crushing them pieces of quartz. But in this area, Clear Creek, got the same, 119 and Highway 6, from that point up, you'll find that in your concentrate you take out of your sluice box.
Okay.
So it's one thing to keep in mind. So now I don't do the ball mill thing. I don't do the rod mill thing with my concentrate. I take my rocks, put them in a plastic tub, away from any metal, and I just take the pinpointer over all the rocks I take out of my box from my concentrate, and if it does, the pinpointer don't pick anything up, toss it. Okay? But we didn't have the pinpointer 20, 30, 40 years ago. We had old style metal detectors. Old style metal detectors won't pick up gold, you can't see it unless you use microscope. Okay. So, a couple of you guys might wanna just slip around and take a look up the stove. We won't let the kids in there because
Rock and roll, fellas. Excuse me, Charles.
And remember this, if you go up there and get hurt, we chain you up and we put you to work till you heal.
Then we'll let you go when you're better.
You're probably better off leaving.
They're pretty slippery. Oh, man.
And you can go, if you guys feel good enough climbing up there, you can go all the way up into the stove. It's been inspected so that it's barred down and inspected.
Oh, look at the
That air
stalactites
tank and
starting.
piping we just got done. The day or
That's
two
so
before I
cool.
went to Arizona.
Amazing. Slippery incline, but
Going up.
this is really cool.
For real.
And you little guys, we're coming to these stairs, this one and more.
Let's see here.
It's concrete landing in here, because this is an important airport. Because once we connect the other area, we're going to the left. There's all nice gold ore in here, guys.
Silver, gold. Yeah.
What do you think, brother?
That's cool.
Oh,
We've got a lot of
man.
this rusted color at my place.
Yeah.
The iron. Good.
Yeah, coming through, that's a good sign.
The stuff that's been on the surface for a long time, it's almost rusted out and like clumps together.
Little, like,
Look at all that silver
holes
in
going
there.
through it from.
It almost looks
eroding
like
out.
lava rock, but it's
Right.
not. It's like iron.
Yeah, yeah,
It's all silver.
yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Look at that vein just coming down.
Yeah.
On the other side right there.
That's molybdenum up there, huh? On the
Where at?
top. Molybdenum.
Possibly.
Oh, but it comes back down right here.
The gold
Over here?
Yeah, that's molybdenum right here too.
Yep.
They used the hard hat there,
love it.
Yeah, me too.
This is so freaking cool. Yeah, y'all are more than welcome to come out to my place in Westcliff.
Hell yeah.
It's quite the drive, and I don't have anything inside the shafts yet, but I mean,
I got some
if you went
tools
and
stuff.
picked 10 mine shafts, you know, everybody could pick 10.
Yeah, heck yeah. Yes, send me a message and then maybe get together.
I'll let you get down and then I'll start going.
Yeah, I want to fall rocks on.
I'm gonna wait for these.
Look how sexy that is on that
Dude.
wall.
Oh, that shit is beautiful.
Some gold right there. Piece of gold right into there. Let's go get the
Core
tour.
samples.
Heck yeah.
Man. What an experience, brother.
What do you guys think up there?
This is gorgeous.
It is beautiful. Those veins look
When
nice.
I blasted the initial vein in the stope, it was like 7.5 feet by about 8 feet. After I finished blasting, I found it was like 7.5, 8 feet, 5,
behind you guys.
15 feet. We
Okay,
missed
we're
a
gonna-
bunch of it.
You can go all the way up there.
You know, like kitchen
So
rolls.
next time we blast,
So
we
nice.
get power wash
Hot plate.
before we blast.
All the way up there, we're gonna be blasting
And that's why
tomorrow.
we're set up to do
You
power
can go all the way up
washing
there
now.
if you like.
And we'll
We'll go all the way down this way.
So we're gonna go back now, guys.
All right.
No, we're going the other way. Make a right turn.
Woohoo! Deeper.
I was like, wait a minute.
Deeper and darker.
There's another little room you can bunch up in.
Is that the beginning of the
Water
stope?
tank for pressure. You know what that's the sound of, don't you?
You go up in there. Let's have a look at it. Check it out. Check out the different veins and throw them in. They're sort of knocking all the
Clouds.
silver and.
Okay, come on in here, guys. Okay, so when we're up in the slope where you guys were, and for those of you that didn't go up in there, you can see it. Where we went down with the stairs, way up there with the buckets, right?
No, that's a fresh core that's been
We
dug
just
out.
came from up
So,
there.
the rain came through the vein behind you, hit this broken area right where we're at, and made a big pod or pocket. So, we power washed it, you see this? This is one pillar of the silver ore. It goes all the way
Wow.
down. It's staying there because if it's gone, we have to put supports. Okay? Now, it made that deposit right here, and then it made a turn. And it went up this thing. This is like a lava pipe going up instead of a lava pipe going down into the ocean like in Hawaii. But this went up, and you just notice that wall where the steel was?
Yeah.
It's a solid pillar of rock. And what it is it's a dike. It's 23 foot thick. And we can see it on the surface. And remind me to show it to you when we get out, what it looks like on the surface. And it hit that dike like this, and now all the ore is going straight up. To give you an idea, anybody that's familiar with how the earthquakes and the volcanoes go in like in Hawaii? You see all that lava? Well, back in 1964, one of my relatives worked on the early warning station up there off of Alaska. And he was back in Wisconsin, and the island disappeared, and some of his buddies disappeared along with him. Well, during that year, my parents were showing me all these pictures on these little film things of the volcanoes in Hawaii and the rivers of lava. Okay, so what happened was when the Alaskan earthquake where it destroyed Anchorage and everything up there, and it was a big earthquake, it also shifted one of these dikes to shut that volcanic flow off, one of them rivers of lava, and it just cooled and it went out to the ocean and left a pipe, lava pipe, lava tube. I met some geologists a couple of years ago that they were commissioned by USGS to go down there and go in those lava tubes. And they found in them lava tubes gold, silver, and platinum on the residue on the walls. Because volcanoes do migrate tremendous amounts of metal, whether they blow it in the air or they push it in lava down to the ocean. And he said that it was the most amazing thing they are. That big sheet just shut the volcano tube off from Kilauea.
Wow.
And so, did you notice the earthquakes we've had the last few years? Have you noticed the volcanic activity going back in Hawaii? And have them rivers of lava again, going through those nice roads and fields and houses and developments? Those are the houses and developments and that was from that area back in '64. They built on top of it because they figured it was extinct. It wasn't gonna open up again. But they didn't know those tubes were still open. They weren't just cool lava in the ground. So that's what opened them rivers back up. So they went to the ocean. The earthquakes that we've got are affecting a lot of things with lava and volcanoes. But this lava tube went all the way up to the surface, but it didn't blow up like a volcano. The Glory Hole is a volcano that never blew up. It went up there, it's a perfectly shaped volcano. You can go up there and in the middle of it is just full of gold and silver and metal bearing stuff. The reason it didn't blow up is because when that volcano was ready to blow up, there was 3 miles of dirt on top of us. And that 3 miles of dirt kept enough packing material on there to keep a volcano from shooting its water. And then what happened was is all that dirt got washed by the ancient river, which filled in the ocean between here and the Adirondacks. And that's why when Gregory and Russell came from the East Coast, they hit some of that alluvial fine dust that had been washed east. And that's where they followed the little yellow trail all the way to here. In fact, some of the stories were that they panned at the Mississippi and they found a little gold on the east side of the Mississippi. They went across the Mississippi, they found a little bit bigger gold, and they just kept going up the Platte River until they got to where?
Right
Cherry
here.
Creek, Boulder, Central
Never.
City, Black Hawk, Idaho Springs. And the interesting thing about it is if you go north into Wisconsin, there's a Native American tribe, Chippewa Nation. Guess what they got on their land up there? Deposits of gold. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, all those areas have got gold. So how many of you looked at the Weather Channel this year and seen how the storms this winter were from the west coast to the east coast? And the clouds and the storm patterns are just hanging down across the United States. Anybody remember that?
And then the, what was it, the supercell,
Right. Well, you take a look at the dimension of when the glacier receded. It's the same dimension across the northern part of the United States.
Yeah.
Now, you bring that down a little bit further, the glacial deposits that were there in Iowa, Ohio, Indiana, Minnesota, all those glacier deposits, people are back there digging gold. When you go back east like that, you look around for Round River Rock and look for your black sand, and you'll start finding gold. There are people that are panning gold on the beach in Chicago with inside of the Sears Tower. They're running cubes, gold cubes in there, and they're getting gold. I've been up in the Grand River in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and the peat bog that's up there. We would take slabs of peat, dry it in the black tub, and shake it off. Put a little Dawn soap in there. We have just as much gold as some of you guys are panning in the Grand River and Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Wow.
So,
Miner's boss.
yep, yeah, that's the design of miner's boss is the peat bog. And there you'll find some areas in Gilpin County, and it's got to be everywhere else. They didn't mine the material because the peat bog kept them from using the big equipment. that doesn't stop you guys with picking a shovel and maybe a saw and an axe, get in there and get through the peat bogs and get yourself some pretty good gold. So any questions?
Oh, that's awesome.
No? Who wants to give up their daily day job and do this for a living?
I'd do it.
In a heartbeat.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
here and spend a little time and we'll show you. We'll show you what it's like and see if you really wanna do it.
Yeah.
I got another 1,000 foot of this rail to bend.
Well, you looking for some extra hands?
Well, anytime you wanna learn how to do this, you know, this is the mining companies and the mining industry is going back to the old school with tracking it, cause they can't afford to, can't afford to build it big enough so a rubber tired loader can come in here.
Yeah.
They can't afford to drill and blast sex rock, you know, or leverite.
Right.
You know, they want to take just a vein. Now, there's 2/3 of a mile of workings in there. How much of a waste dump, or ore dump, or mine dump do you see outside this mine? Nothing. Everything they took out of here goes to the processor. Everything that you walked in there in that stove is all going in the bag and going to the mill. That's the way mining should be. You shouldn't be taking out rock that doesn't belong on the surface. You know, it belongs in here. Okay, let's head on out.
All right, thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome, brother.
Yeah.
Much
No,
appreciated.
that's my fault.
Thanks for watching Native Arizona Adventures. Please like and subscribe. Check out Scotch Prospecting and go Hondo's Adventures. Tag team this up.
Group adventure, boys.
This would be a really cool.
What is the name of this mine?
I would live in here, man. I would totally live in here.
To the snow shed. What? We're gonna get dinner on the way home then.
We gotta get packed up first.
Yeah, we're gonna pack up all our stuff. Get the truck loaded. Then we can go eat. Yeah. You hungry and stuff? Watermelon? We have a big old watermelon at home. Daddy just bought. These like little ones? Oh, the big ones are better. Yeah. It's different than your early days. How you say that?
I'm bringing mine down to there a little bit.
Are you guys leaving?
We're gonna pack up in a little bit. It'll probably take us a better part of an hour or so.
Are you guys staying for dinner?
Man, that was cool.